All right. I guess ready to kick this off, aren't we? What a great dais of presenters we've had today. What great content. No pressure for me having to go last, but thank you all for remaining here all the way to the end with us. I'm Matt St. Ange. I am the Director of Sales Engineering here at Flosum, and we'd like to discuss in the final presentation today, Zero Trust Security for Salesforce. So a little bit about us at Flosum. We are the leading end-to-end secure DevOps platform. We do data management, data protection. We are 100% built natively into Salesforce. Our mission here at Flosum is to enable IT leaders to manage their Salesforce instances, regardless of which of the Salesforce clouds they're in, with total confidence, and empower their DevOps teams to innovate rapidly. Many enterprises around the world use our company's platform and have found great success in accelerating their digital transformation by leveraging Flosum. And without any further ado, we are recognized at Flosum as a market leader in the DevOps space within the Salesforce ecosystem. I've got a bunch of metrics up here, both from G2 that show us, users think our solution's crazy easy to use, it's easy to set up, our support is top notch, and the ease of administrating the solution and just doing business with us is, all getting high marks. And if you were to look at, App Exchange, we're getting an average 5.0 rating, which I think is phenomenal. So let's talk about the current state of where we see things security-wise in the Salesforce ecosystem, especially from a developer and DevOps perspective. You're going to find a lot of developers may not necessarily want to go through hundreds of pages of security guides, or may not even have the bandwidth to do so. Generally, they're being pushed hard and focused on completing their story points for every sprint. And generally, a lot of these developers don't have the full stack or security expertise that's going to make them, security experts. And it comes time for code reviews, whether it's, the release manager or combinations thereof with the developers. These code reviews have been very time consuming, especially if they're using a Git-based solution. And developers and security teams don't even speak the same languages. Maybe for lack of better words, they don't work and play well together in some companies. And mostly the security teams themselves lack the bandwidth to check every single line of code. That can be a problem too. Consequences are security configuration drift is always going to be a strong impact. Auditing can be tedious, regardless of whether it's for SOX or other initiatives. And oftentimes it is found that whether intentionally or even unintentionally, access to data or certain parts of the application are way outside of what the parameters of what they should be for a lot of the user base. Data residency compliance, also another key point to remember. And having users with over-assigned data privileges is also a problem. So we at Flosum have actually done a huge study of the state of enterprise security, and we're going to talk about a white paper we have prepared. Give you one quote from this, from Gartner, where 75% of CEOs in the industry are going to be held personally liable for security incidents by 2024. And that's not too far away, people. That's pretty scary, actually. And I wouldn't want to be held responsible for anything like that. The cost could be in the millions, whether it's soft cost or hard revenue losses. Tons of breaches, 63%, are often involve weak or compromised passwords. There's tons of malware out in the wild, over 300,000 types. And these, code samples are spread constantly. And oftentimes the ability to detect and or contain a breach could vastly go from months to almost a year in some cases if people aren't actively searching. And by polls, we found that 85 or 87% of senior managers have admitted to accidentally leaking business data. And there's a horrifying thought right there. So let's talk about shared responsibility. Salesforce provides amazing tools as far as security. Rachel went through a lot of that good stuff just momentarily, and it was amazing. But the customer does have, a stake in this. They are responsibility for how they configure their instances, whether they choose to enable encryption, masking data, who has access, whether or not they're following best practices, and defining what their audit trails are actually going to be based upon the awesome tooling already provided by Salesforce, whether it's vulnerability scanning, data security, controls around multi-tenancy, and all of those things. So that gives you a landscape that, outside of, what Salesforce has provided. In the past, there's been no purpose-built solution for Salesforce. Security and DevOps haven't always cooperated together. Privacy policies aren't necessarily enforced throughout the development process, and definitely not via a data management solution. Additionally, monitoring solutions, outside of the Salesforce ecosystem are incredibly fragmented and may even require you to give external entities access to your data, which no one wants to do anyway. So I'm going to pause here for a second. The scope of all of this combined is immense. I know this slide's a bit of an eye chart, but if you think about all of the facets of possible problems, whether it's data security, privacy controls, code security, functional security, organizational monitoring, and audit trails, being able to cover that with a single solution seems almost daunting. And to have policy and continuous compliance and reporting does seem to be a challenge. But our work with Salesforce today is actually solving this problem and complementing the solutions that Salesforce is already offering. So what does it take to secure your Salesforce instances? Well, let's take a step back and think about how many objects you could possibly need to review. And we'll do some simple math. We'll talk in generalities here just for a second. Assuming that you have an org with about 500 objects, there's about 100 fields per object. You maintain about 50 profiles, give or take, and let's just say you do about 50 deployments a year. Simple math would say to check everything for each deployment continuously, you're going to need to watch over 125 million pieces of information. That alone is a staggering thought. So where we are now, without looking at all this stuff, you're functional security out of the box 15%, but you got to get even further. We need organizational security. We need data security, code security, real privacy controls, audit trails, and org monitoring. This is where using the Salesforce provided enhanced tooling combined with Trust Center from Flosum are going to give you that 1-2 punch. So a little bit about our architecture. We are 100% native, which means we are built into Salesforce, on Salesforce, for Salesforce and for nothing else. We have no access to your data. There is no backdoor. What happens in Salesforce stays in Salesforce, to coin a phrase. The UI is as familiar as just everything else is in Salesforce because it's within Salesforce. And we are as secure and compliant as Salesforce because we're built in. We're just a complementary package built on top of everything that Salesforce is given, whether you're using a commercial solution, CRM, industries, or GovCloud. Now you may ask, well, is there any overlap with Salesforce? Not really. Salesforce is our sole purpose in being. They're our greatest partner. We look to complement what they offer and never compete. In fact, our engineering teams are in lockstep with theirs. We have our exact same release schedule lined up with theirs. So from a overlapping thing, we try to avoid any overlap. So let's break down some of the key points here, whether it's organizational security. With the Salesforce tooling, you have, even with the latest updates, you have a lot of monitoring, but we actually take it beyond what Salesforce is doing and take it to the next level. Full SEIM solution, which monitors your org, finds violations, and here's the kicker, can auto-create a remediation task. So like I said, we take what Salesforce does, we add to it, and then help you remediate it automatically and deploy the fix. Data encryption is provided by Salesforce Shield. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Salesforce solution for encryption is amazing. So we're not going to overlap. We're not going to even try to. We complement Salesforce. So now there is a little parity here, data masking. It's available with Salesforce and we have it as well built into the solution. So it is a bit of feature parity. Code security, not fully integrated with the Salesforce DX, whereas it's out of the box within the Flosum solution. We use Apex PMD, and that comes with our release management tool. Audit trails, as Rachel just talked about, are awesome and available. We enhance what's there and add to it. This is also designed to help mitigate risk, reduce your auditing costs, give 100% coverage for all changes. It's schedulable and extensible. We can also have this solution integrate with your Jira, ServiceNow, version 1, and other release management and overall IT management systems. Last but not least, we talk about privacy. Now, this is actually, a good part of what Salesforce provides via Privacy Center. On our roadmap, we're going to enhance what Privacy Center offers with greater controls for GDPR, CCPA, and additional compliance with our backup and restore solution. Again, we're complementary. We don't compete with Salesforce. we just carry the ball from where they left off, and it's been an amazing partnership. The end results for our customers and our partners, you're going to have always on security, continuous monitoring, vastly reduced auditing costs and impact. Privacy controls are actually enforced. Ultimately, you're going to have true governance of your Salesforce ecosystem. And that will guide and align your dev teams, your Salesforce operations teams, and security. Previously, I had mentioned we had a white paper for the state of security. Feel free to reach out to us, and Haley will make sure you can get a copy of that white paper. In closing, thank you for coming out today virtually and interacting with us, asking questions, and sharing your interest in Salesforce security, DevSecOps. We at Flosum, we want you to know we're here for you. Online, we have tutorials, we have endless resources and collateral to help you get the most out of your Salesforce investment. And we have world-class 24/7 support. We'd love to hear from you. We are all over social media. We have free publicly available training on our success portal. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we have amazing videos out on YouTube taking you through all of the DevSecOps and DevOps processes. So in closing, thank you, thank you, thank you.